Hello friends, welcome to JavaEE Servlet tutorial. So in this sub-series, we are learning about Servlet context. This is the last part of the video. In part 1, we learned about Servlet context concepts. In the second part, we created all the HTML files required for this Servlet context example. In this video, we will create all the Servlet files. So let's continue with our Servlet demo, and you can see the green tick mark. So that's what created in the previous video. Now we will create all our Servlet. First we will create a stock in hand. Next we will create a scon purchase, which will get launched from scpurchase.html. Then we will create scon sales. So this servlet context purchase, servlet context sale will access the object from stack. Object from servlet context, and servlet context is storing that object. The stock object. Since this stock object is shared between all the servlet running in a web application, we can, the scon purchase, stock in hand, scon sale, all will perform read and write operation into that same stock in hand inventory maintenance variable. Alright, now we will go to Eclipse and we will start creating our servlets. So here I am opening Eclipse Neon. And you can see that this is the servlet which is accessed directly from this stock manager home. Okay, now we will create our first servlet. Right click on this dynamic web project, create new servlet. So that's the name we are giving for our servlet. Since here we are not posting any data, I'm removing this. So this servlet will directly launch through the URL. So we are overriding dogget. We already learned that HTTP servlet will, HTTP servlet is derived from generic servlet, and generic servlet has the method to retrieve the servlet context, and that method is getServletContext, and this will give you the servlet context object. So here we declared a internal variable integer stock. So at present it is local. Soon we will create a string out of this, then we will push that to the servlet context. So here we are naming the reference as web context so that it will look more meaningful, as the web, this context is common for all the servlet within the web. Okay, now we will import the servlet context. So once our servlet context is ready, we check product 1 attribute exists on the web context. So in the past videos we saw that we can set the attribute and get the attribute into this servlet context using the get attribute and set attribute method. So the name is product 1 and value we will store the stack. So at one time we will come to know, all the servlets come to know the stock of the product 1. So first we are checking whether this product 1 attribute exists in the servlet context. So using the web context get attribute, we are checking whether the particular attribute exists in the servlet context. So we are storing that in stack. So if it is there, we will get a valid value, otherwise we will get null. So we will get null. So when it is null, we are setting the product 1 and we are initializing it with a 0 stack. We also set a stack to 0. In the else portion, that means if product 1 is already stored in the web context, that means some stack is already there. So we retrieve that and we store that inside the iStack internal member. Alright, now we have stock in hand. Remember, we are in stock in hand.servlet. It will report how many stack exist for product 1. So as usual, we get our print writer. Then we say stack in hand and we print our stack. Finally, we provide a hyperlink for the home page also. So just a recap of what we created in the previous video. And if you see, in SConPurchase, we have one input field, quantity, and one submit button. And the data is submitted to SConPurchase. So this is the servlet we are going to create now. So this time we are posting the data from HTML file. SC purchase, it's a form submission. Method is post. So we override only the do post. So here also we check stack exist. That means we use first we get the servlet context, then we retrieve the product 1 attribute and we check whether it is null. So if it is null, we set the stack as 0, otherwise we typecast it. So the code is similar to what you saw previously. That means stock in hand. So the same code here also we are writing. So I haven't modularized it. So since it's just a demo, I'm keeping even though there is a code repeatability, I'm just replacing it here. Alright, now there is no difference here, and what you have to know is the web context. That means the servlet context will retrieve same object here in SConPurchase as well as in stock in hand. And there is one more servlet we are going to write, scan sales. So all will return the same web context. Since we get a same web context object, the stuff that is stored inside the web context, that means servlet context, is the same. So in SConPurchase also we are getting the same product 1. So we may not know in which order user will navigate our web application. So if user directly navigated to SCON purchase through scpurchase.html, then there will not be any attribute for product 1 in the servlet context. So we will land up here and we will create the attribute. Alright, after that we retrieve the stack. So the stack will be 0 if we are creating it for the first time, or if it was already created by means of SC sales or purchase, then we will have a valid stack here. Since this is a purchase HTML, I mean purchase servlet, the data were submitted through SC purchase. So we use request.get parameter. So we already saw about this in our previous videos, in the past video. Not immediate past, in this video series we already saw it, form processing. So here we are retrieving the quantity from our HTML form, and then we are parsing it and we are storing it as quantity. Then we will update our stack. So since it's a purchase activity, we will increase whatever is the stack we are increasing with the purchased quantity. The rest will go same. So rest will go same in the sense we will output our stack and we will update the user. So here we just kept a heading, a purchased quantity. So that's what the user is submitting to us, and we are informing that we purchased. If user provided an input of 7, we state 7 quantity purchased. After that, we provide link for our home page, and at the same time we provide link to check the current stack. That means we provide link for our stock in hand servlet also. So user can either go back to the home page or they can check stock in hand servlet to know what is the current stack. So now we completed 2, stock in hand and SCON purchase. So now we have to complete our last servlet. We will create a new servlet. Okay. We haven't updated our servlet context. So here from servlet context we retrieved current stock in hand. Since it's a purchase activity, we increased our local variable, but we haven't set the servlet context so that it will be available for other servlets. So now other servlet knows the updated quantity after we set the attribute. So here we are setting the attribute product 1 and we provide a new iStack object. Here iStack will have a new quantity and we are updating it. Okay, so from homepage user will reach SC sales. Now we have to open SC sales, and SC sales make a call to servlet sconsole. So I'm copying this. Now we will create our final servlet. So we we are overriding do post. So here it is almost equivalent to the SCON purchase. So it differs only in the quantity update. So if you see, the same stuff goes here. We try to retrieve our servlet context. If servlet context is not yet set, we are setting it. Then we get the quantity in hand. After that, so this is from our HTML form. This tells how many quantity user is selling. I mean the how many quantity is purchased by the end user. End user in the sense here it will be the browsing user. The purchase module will, I mean the purchase servlet will usually used by the web admin. So they make the stack inventory and they purchase the quantity so that the stack will increase. After that, so that's the web admin's part. So the end users, that means the browsing users, they will also actually perform the purchase quantity, but in the web application perspective, it is treated as a sales. So once sales is made, what we will do here, we are getting the quantity and we are updating our internal member to reduce the stack in hand. After that, we report the message stating that sold this many quantity. After that, we provide a link to our homepage as well as a stock in hand. Finally, we update the stack to our ServletContext object. So here, product 1 attribute is updated at the last. And if you see, let me save it. So, okay. Now you can see that how the web context is used in all three servlet. Of course, we are using that in stock in hand also. Okay, now we will publish and test it. So in this video series, we are using the same web application. If you want to know how to create web application, you have to watch the initial 2 videos. I don't remember whether it is in first or second. You can watch in the initial videos. There we created the web application. After that, we are developing that web application and we are adding the HTML and Java files, I mean the servlets. And in this series, we are not mixing the servlets with the JSP. So servlet is the base. So we are first learning the servlet without mixing it with the JSP. So in the next video series, we will learn JSP. That time we will combine both servlet and JSP. So in this video series, you will get good exposure to servlet. Alright, now we will publish it. So I'm opting for a full publish. Our Wildfly server is in a stop state. Now we will start it. The servlet is up and the web application is up and running. Now we will go to our homepage. home page of this example. So stock manager home, that's the home page. So from here we can move to any option. So I'm going to current stack. So there will not be any web context at this moment. Once I go to this link, the current stack, that means you can look at here in the navigation URL, stack in hand. So in stack in hand, if we go here, it will try to read the product one, and there will not be any, because this is the first time we are navigating to that page. So as context will be set for the product one, and stack will be 0. So we are seeing here that stock in hand is 0. So now I am going to home page, and this time I am purchasing some quantity. So let's purchase 100 quantity, and it says that 100 quantity purchased. Now we can either go back to home, or you can check stack. So if I click the check stack, it will show stack in hand is 100. Let me go back to home, and I can check this way also. It still says stock in hand 100. Now if I sell a product, it will present a form. Now I'm purchasing, the user is purchasing. So in website perspective, it's a sales. A sales of 70 is made. That means after this sales, the stock in hand should be 30. So it says sold 70 product. Now I can either check here itself, or I can go to home page, then I can check the current stack, and it says stock in hand is 30. And if you see here, we are making use of 3 servlet, and all servlet knows, or all servlet access the same variable, stock in hand. So to remember it easily, you can think that servlet context is a web context. That means it's common for all the servlet that is running inside the web application. So we are done with our demo. Let me stop the server. So I'm stopping our web application. Next I am removing it. Then we are stopping our Wildfly server. Server stopped, and there is no web application published at this moment. So that's all here in this video. Now we created stock in hand, and we created SCON purchase, and we created SCON sale, and we also saw how the stack which is kept inside the servlet context. And that particular stack attribute is accessed by all 3 servlet. So this one we used to report what is the current stock in hand, and purchase we used to negate the stack in hand, add the stock in hand, and sales we used to negate the stock in hand. I hope this gave you a good idea of what is Servlet context demo. So it is advisable to look at the Servlet config also. See, we already talked about the difference in the concept video. That means the very first part of the video. And if you want to watch the video, you have to watch the initial videos in this series. That's all in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.